And thank you so much for all of you who have your videos on, and I totally understand for those who don't. Practice how you feel comfortable, right? But it's great to see so many of you. So again, I'm Jessica covering for Farragut today, all right? Okay, we're gonna come onto our backs with that prop handy and available. And just bend your knees and come into what I call constructive rest. It's also sometimes called like a Supta Virasana. So your feet are about as wide as your mat. Your feet are wide apart, yeah. And then your knees touch together. And turn your palms open by your sides. Great. Close your eyes and take a moment here to arrive. I'm going to hit mute all just in case you're not muted. So don't worry about it. I got it. And you are on your backs. Your feet are wide apart. Your knees are touching. And your palms are open by your sides. Good. Drop your tongues. Relax your jaws. And close your eyes. And taking a moment to check in. So later in the 8-limbed path, we'll talk about Svadhyaya. So right here, you're taking a moment of Svadhyaya, which is like self-inquiry, checking in. You know, is your breath even and satisfying? Does your breath have any kind of volume? Is it audible? Can you hear it? If not, try to make it audible. Do you feel the movement of the breath in your body? For instance, on the inhales, do you feel those ribs, chest, lungs, maybe even bellies expand? And on the exhales, everything just hugging nicely back in towards your center. So taking this time to settle into you. Allowing the week's tensions, activities, memories to settle. And taking a moment with yourself today. Nice. So with those feet wide, knees together, reach your arms up and over your head and clasp your elbows if you're able. And if that's really intense on your shoulders, you can elevate the elbows. You could even prop them. So just creating a lot of nice space in that lung chest region. Good. Pick your bottom up a teeny bit, lengthen your tailbone to your heels, and then gently set that low back down with a lot of length in the spine. Now notice with the arms overhead, the ribs kind of pop up a bit. So we're going to focus on that for a moment. Take a big inhale breath and just kind of stretch those elbows away from you. Now as you exhale, actually lift the elbows up and try to knit your front ribs together. So it's like everything in your back is pressing down. Great. Inhale, stretch those elbows up and away from you, maybe down to the ground. You're opening the chest, little spinal extension. And exhale, knit the front ribs together, lift the elbows to hover. One more time. Big, expansive inhale, opening the chest. Great, now on this exhale, draw the ribs in, lift the elbows all the way up, and just lower your palms down. Walk your feet to about hip bone distance apart. Press your feet down, especially your inner feet. And peel your back up off the ground. Lift your hips up high. Good. So notice the weight goes into the outer edges of the feet here. So we actually want to press a little more into the inner arches, spin the inner thighs down. Yeah. And then lengthen the tailbone towards the backs of the knees. Reach your arms up and overhead again and go for that opposite interlace or that opposite clasp of the elbows. So different forearm on top. If you don't remember, it really doesn't matter. Good. On your inhale breath, I want you to press your feet down, lift higher, stretch the elbows away from you, get longer. Now as you exhale, roll just the upper back down, so tailbone still up, and lift the elbows up. So you're doing almost like a little crunch, a little flexion in the low back. 2 more times. Inhale, coming into big extension, press down, reach up. Exhale into that little bit of flexion, tailbone's kind of hovering above the ground, slightly tucked. Yeah, and inhale, working a lot with the spine, different parts of the spine today. And exhale, slowly roll all the way down. Very nice. Hug your right knee into your chest and straighten your left leg down to the ground. So you're in Ekapada Apanasana. And then really firm the left thigh bone down. Firm the left thigh bone down. Keep the right knee in a little bit more towards the right shoulder, getting into that ascending colon space. Yeah. Use your left hand to firm your left thigh and hip down. And then you're going to start to do little circles of that right leg. Just imagine like the knee is drawing the circles, but obviously you're moving at the hip joint. Little circles in one direction, guided by that right hand, firming the left side of the body down. So you're really stable in the rest of your body. And then stay as stable as you're able as you start to do bigger circles. Good, so medium circles, really big circles, but try not to let that left hip go along for the ride. Keep the left belly and ribs firming up nicely towards the ground and stay with your breath. Great. And then start to reverse. Little baby circles in the other direction. Start small. Find that core stabilization, firm left side down, and then maybe get a little bigger with those circles. Now take your time. Concentrate on your breath. It's just kind of a slow ease in today. Don't worry, we will get moving big. Great, steady the leg. Extend the right arm to the side. Take the left hand to your right knee for a gentle spinal twist. Crossing the right leg over, it could be supported or drop. Relax the right shoulder down, turn your right ear down. Nice. So it's really nice here to have the right palm up and the elbow a little bit lower than the shoulder so that shoulder blade can release down a little bit more. But now I want you to focus on lengthening that right hip away from the rib cage. So anytime we rotate the spine, anytime we move the spine, we want space between each individual vertebra. That's our little ahimsa, non-harming here. Nice, working the right hip away. Take another breath. Slowly inhale the leg back up, and you're going to find your spine is kind of out of line. Plant the feet down, lift your bottom up, and realign your spine here. Great. And then set your bottom back down. Gather the left knee into the chest and straighten that right leg out. So coming into Ekapada Apanasana, second side. Now really press the right thigh bone down here. You could take that left knee a little bit more towards your left shoulder. Yeah. Take right hand to right thigh, so you're firming down. Great. And then that left hand on the knee is starting to guide those little circles. Start in either direction. But the whole focus of moving that thigh and the hip in those circle rotations is to really try to stabilize the rest of the body. Nothing else is going along for the ride. Great. The circles can get bigger as long as you can stay stable. Very nice. And let's reverse those circles, just small at the beginning, stabilizing the body. Grow a little bigger as you feel comfortable. And this week's practice, we're moving a little slower than I typically do in like a flow class, right? It's often more challenging to go slow. However, it's more strengthening. It's better for brain function, for focus. It's great for bone density, but also it's good for safe practice. Nice, okay. Go ahead, steady that leg. Extend the left arm to the side, cross the right leg over, relax the left shoulder down, turn the left ear down. And remember, palm up, elbow a little lower than shoulder is nice for the relaxation of the shoulder. But also the focus not on a big, deep twist, more on that top hip lengthening away from you. Getting nice and long in your left side waist. Yeah, take a few breaths in that gentle twist. Great. All right, slowly inhale that knee back up. And again, plant the feet to realign the spine. I give my bottom a little wiggle, a little shake, and lower down. Great. Bring both knees into your chest. And I want you to just notice here, when you come into Apanasana, do you automatically take your knees together? And then ask yourself why. Is that because you think you should? Take your knees about hip bone distance apart, and you might notice that that just feels a little more spacious in the hip joints, in the lumbar region. So you decide which is a safer way for you. I used to do knees together because I thought it was supposed to be that way. Now I do knees apart because it feels so much better in my body. Good. And then just go ahead and either rock your way up or roll off to the side. We're going to make our way onto the hands and knees for a tabletop shape. So we're going to work around with cat-cow in a different way today. First of all, just real traditional. Take a deep, deep inhale breath. Reach your sternum forward. Draw your shoulders back, but make some observations here. Notice your belly drops, your tailbone lifts. It might be a little compressed in the low back. Great. On the exhale, really round the back, firm the belly in, stretching the back of the body. Press the floor away from you. Nice flexion of the spine. Yeah. Okay, come back to your neutral spine. And just do one more round of cat-cow. Inhale, chest forward, shoulders back. Observe what happens. Exhale, pull the belly in. This is actually a nice little pancreas squeeze. And don't worry about bone density here because you're not weight bearing. So it's good. Go into that flex. Great. And now come back to that tabletop shape. So what we're going to do is take the block or the prop between your thighs. Yeah, this is kind of different. It's very therapeutic. Squeeze the block and give it a little lift. And notice your perineal muscles, your pelvic floor activates, your low abs might activate here. So you're going to continue to do that and try to do cat-cow in just the upper body, just the thoracic spine, the cervical spine. It's hard and it doesn't look like you're doing much. So on the inhale, the sternum comes forward, the shoulders draw back, and your pelvis doesn't move. It's hard. On the exhale, you're just almost just like spreading your shoulder blades apart. Push the ground down. Great, do it again. Inhale, collarbone spread. You can actually use your hands, pull the mat towards your legs a bit. Exhale, just the upper back bend. Try not to move your hips. This is so good for your back. Inhale, chest forward, shoulders back. Exhale one more time, rounding only the upper back. Head kind of goes along for the ride. Really nice. Okay, now that you've got the hang of that, we're reversing it. Only the pelvis is moving. So lock that thoracic spine in place and try to just relax your neck a bit. Inhale, just the tailbone lifts. So it's a little anterior tilt of the pelvis. Ribs shouldn't collapse. Exhale, suck the block up and tuck the tail a bit. Good, your head shouldn't move. Inhale, tailbone lifts. Very isolated to the pelvis, to the lumbar region. Exhale, navel in. So isolated. Inhale, this is good for your back, you guys. And exhale. Good job. I know it's hard. It can actually be kind of frustrating. It takes practice like everything else. So now we're doing a hybrid, and then we'll be done with cat and cow. Now we're doing a hybrid between cat and cow, which creates a lot of lovely traction in your back. You'll understand why we're doing all this work later. So we'll inhale the chest forward and the shoulders back like you're doing your big cow, right? But at the same time, do cat in the low back. Squeeze the block, reach the tailbone back. Good. Now, pull the ground together with your hands and knees. pull the mat together so you're creating a ton of traction in the lumbar region. It doesn't look like you're doing anything, but you're working really hard here. Pull that mat together. Breathe. Excellent. Take another breath. So good for your back. And relax. Well done. You can set those blocks to the side of your mat and walk your hands forward, making your way into a plank pose. Knees can be up or down, doesn't matter to me. Take a big inhale breath, peel the sternum away from the belly, open the front body, and then dive your chest forward, come halfway down, hug the elbows in, shoulders away from the ears, take an inhale. Dive further forward and lower all the way down to the ground. Walk your feet back and away from you, tops of the feet down. Good. Press your pubic bone down. Now use your hands, press the mat towards your feet, peel your chest, your sternum, your heart forward and up to low cobra, and float your hands. So anytime we do these spinal extensions, right, these lifts, so good for strengthening the back body, but so important to focus on length before lift. Great. Take another inhale, lengthen into that lift. As you exhale, lower down, sweep your hands next to the sides of your body, separate your feet a bit. And then coming into Shalabhasana with breath. On the inhale, lengthen, lift your legs, your arms, your chest, your shoulders, head comes along for the ride. As you exhale, lower to hover your hands, your nose, and your toes. So on the inhale, it's like you're inflating up, but focus on lengthening out. And then exhaling, lower just to hover. Again, inhale, lengthen into that lift. Inflate, lengthen, lift. And then it's kind of like you just slowly deflate and hover. Do that 2 more times. Inhaling. So good for strengthening your back body. Exhaling. Great. And 1 more time. Big inhale. And exhale. Great. On this next inhale, lengthen and lift. Then bend the elbows, plant the hands, turn the toes over. You're going to lower down. Press up to your plank pose. And lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Great. Feel free to pedal your feet here, shift your hips, just do what feels good in your body. Stay with your breath. Nice. Great. Now, a lot of people collapse their ribs in this pose. So the work we did with the back body, pull the ribs into the front body. And then lift the pit of the belly. And then reach your hips up and back. So find that length in the back here. Even in down dog, protect yourself, right? Good. And then separate your feet about, at least hip distance, a little wider if you prefer. And slowly walk your hands to the back of your mat. Yeah. Take a little bend in your knees so you're sure to hinge at the hips, and then hook your thumbs in your elbow creases. And just hang in a nice ragdoll uttanasana. So protecting your back here, you don't want to bend at the waist, so you'd prefer a bend in the knees, so you're hinging at the hips, yeah? If you're really open in the low back, glutes, hamstrings, you could work towards straightening those legs, yeah? Take a few breaths. Excellent. Release your hands down. You might widen your feet, but then definitely widen your toes out, so turn your toes out. And we're squatting down to a malasana. So if you have hip or knee limitations, take your modifications. Bring the hands together in front of your heart. Now, some of you might remember what a thigh master is. Some of you might not. But your arms are your thigh master. Squeeze your arms. And at the same time, kind of pull the floor together with your feet. Lift up through the pelvic floor and the low belly. Good. You're pressing those legs into the arms. Breathe, lift the chest. So really containing yourself, not just dumping in. Yeah, take another breath. Lower the hands down. Now we're coming to down dog. So you'll press off your feet, slide your hands forward, and find your downward facing dog. Very, very nice. On an inhale breath, lift your right leg high. Yeah. Feel free to bend the knee and open the hip here. But notice, remember it's ahimsa, that you might collapse into the left shoulder. You also might kind of compress the low back when you do that. So firm the left arm in, pull the belly in. Good. And then extend that leg straight back. Yeah. And then go ahead and step that right foot up between your hands and gently set your back knee down for a low lunge. You're going to want the block next to your right hip. Take an inhale breath, rising up into your low lunge. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Oftentimes we come into this pose and we sink into the hip joints, right? Bend to your bodies. It might behoove you to use your front heel, your back leg, and pull the ground together so you're not dropping into your joints. Yeah, you're creating like some isometrics, lifting from the ground up. Excellent. Take another breath, and that's optional. Lower the right hand to your block next to your right hip, and then just extend that left arm up. Yeah, so you can take that block on high, yeah, maybe even 2 blocks, right? So you're getting a nice stretch through the psoas, the hip flexors, without dumping into your hips. Take a couple more breaths. Tailbone down, lift the low belly up and in, take another breath in. Good. Now reach that left hand way forward. Take it inside the foot and then bring your block inside the foot as well. Great. And then just kind of shift your hips forward and back, kind of like you're coming into a half splits, a little low lunge. And this lunge can be a little sinkier, if you will. Find a little more depth because you're bearing weight on your hands. Great. And then come forward and find your lizard pose. Elbows could go to blocks, down to ground. So again, it's more weight bearing, so it's a little safer to drop into the hips if that feels good for you. Take a few more deep breaths. And in this pose, I always kind of watch for tension in my neck. Sometimes like we grip, right, in the neck and shoulders. Try to soften. I'll just let my head drop here. Yeah, good. Okay, really nice. Now, come back up to your hands. Toe heel that foot back in. We're going to turn the back toes over and rise up to a high lunge. Good. So the wider the stance, the more stable, high crescent lunge. Dip the left knee, catch the left wrist, and you're actually going to pull your upper body to the right. So just like you did with the back knee down. Yeah. And then you could start to stretch that back heel back, but lengthen down through the low back. Breathe. It's a little balance challenge. Yeah. On the inhale, reach up. Turn the back heel down, toe heel the right foot in, coming into your Virabhadrasana B, Warrior 2 position. Drop the traps, relax those shoulders, stretch those arms apart, but at the same time, pull the mat together. So this is great for bone density of the hips if you hold it for a certain amount of time, 12 seconds in particular, which is about 5 deep breaths. So pull that mat together as you soften and glide those arms apart and breathe. Concentrate on your breath. Going for our little bone density hold here. Great, and then reverse that warrior. Drop the back hand, lift the right arm high. Tendency here is for that right knee to cave inward. So really focus on wrapping that right seat underneath you as you firm the back thigh back. Take another breath. And then reach way out over your right leg. Form the thigh or hand the blocker floor, more pinky toe side of the foot. And top arm over your ear. Traditional Utthita Parshvakonasana. Lengthening through that entire left side of your body here. Deep, deep breath. Good. Now we're actually going to sweep the top arm in front of us. And then walk your hands. You could take your block towards the center of your mat and turn your toes in, your heels a little wider, Prasarita position. Wide stance, forward fold. Inhale, elongate, lift your chest. And then release the crown of the head down towards the ground. A few deep breaths. You know, head below the heart, maybe not great for some eye issues, but really good for brain function. Deep breath. Nice. So with your next inhale, lift halfway up. Great. And then go ahead and bend the left knee and just lean into the left thigh, getting a nice stretch to the right inner thigh. And then lift up through center. Bend the right knee, lean into the right thigh. So nice stretch through that back inner thigh. Breathe. We're going to turn this into a lunge. Walk your hands back towards your right foot, the front of your mat. Spin your heels back so you're in a lunge with your back knee up. Now, left hand could go to block or floor and sweep the right arm up for a twist. Or I'm offering a challenge. Roll off to the outer edge of your back foot and step back to your side plank pose, Vashisthasana. Yeah. If you are in your side plank pose, extra little challenge. Inhale, lift that leg up, the top leg up. Exhale, it hovers. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, it hovers. One more time. Back knee could be down. Inhale up, you're holding your lunge twist if you want. And everyone, make your way to plank pose. Take an inhale breath. Slow, gravity resisting chaturanga. You could hover or go all the way to the floor. Big inhale into your cobra or up dog, up to you. And exhale to down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Nice. As you're ready, lift the left leg high. And feel free to bend the knee, open the hip, but again, mindfully, with safety in mind. Don't dump into that opposite shoulder. Would be the right arm this time. Yeah? Lift the pit of the belly, protect that back. Take another breath and extend the legs straight back. And then step that left foot forward, really gently set the back knee down. Block should be towards the left side of your mat. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Inhale, sweep those arms up, yeah. Okay, so you decide, do you want to sink in a little bit deeper or do you want to pull in and zip it up? For me, I'm really loose in the hips. I'm pulling in, lifting up. Take another breath. And then left hand down to the block, just outside the hip. And sweep that right arm up and over. Big lateral stretch. A few deep breaths, tailbone down. Yeah, it's a big stretch. You're gonna really feel your side waist after this morning's practice. So long. I have one of those bodies like where my hips literally touches my ribs. So any side stretching, I'm like, oh, I have a waist. Good, and then reach the arm way, way forward. Like you could touch the camera or the screen. And then both hands go inside the foot. You could walk your foot over a bit and shift it forward and back. So a little hamstring stretch, a little hip stretch. Just exploring, finding that sense of inquiry here. And then sinking in. So those elbows, again, they could go to your prop, they could go to the ground, they might not go anywhere. And let your head go. A few deep breaths in this hip opening posture. Again, if you have hip injuries, you might prefer some stability, pulling in, lifting up. Great. Okay, go ahead and walk that foot in, reframe the foot. We're coming into our high lunge. Back toes over, knee up, rise high. Steady gaze, steady breath. Little dip in the back knee, tailbone down, belly up. Catch the right wrist and pull. So it's really same pose as this. Yeah? You might start to stretch that back thigh back. Deep, deep breath. Great. Inhale, reach your arms up. Turn the back heel down, toe heel that left foot in, repositioning into the warrior two shape position. Good. Knee over heel, weight in the front heel. Use the front heel and the back foot and pull your mat together as you spread your collarbones and glide your arms apart. And breathe. Concentrated breath here. Bone density benefit, hold. Nice. Let's reverse that warrior. Try not to let the left knee cave inward. Keep the knee pointed more towards the pinky toe. Take another breath. Reach way forward, forward, forward. Form a thigh, hand to blocker floor. Top arm extending over your ear, side angle pose. Press off the back heel, reach through your right pinky finger, breathe. Okay, draw the belly in, protecting the back as you sweep the arm forward. And you could take your block, walk your hands to the middle of the mat, turn your heels wide. This time we're going for actually Prasarita D. So if you can, you clasp the big toes with the middle and index fingers. Inhale, elongate your chest forward. And then pulling the big toes. Releasing the crown of the head down towards the ground, elbows sort of go towards your shins, and shoulders lift up and away from your ears. If you can't grab those toes, it's okay, just go to the floor, use your blocks. And then you might be able to hang on to the toes as you lift the chest. Bend the right knee, lean into the thigh, just like we did on the other side. Inhale up to center. Bend the left knee, lean in, release your toes. Yeah. And then walk your hands towards the front of your mat. Spin your heels to the back so you're in your lunge. Great. Keep the right hand down, the left arm high, lunge twist, or Vashisthasana. And if you want Vashisthasana, you could always lower the right knee down. In your Vashisthasana, on the inhale, you're going to lift the top leg up if you're in it. Exhale to tap or hover. Inhale, lifting, little leg lifts. Jane Fonda leg lifts in plank. Exhale to hover. I love a good leg lift. Inhale. Make your way to your plank. Take a breath. And a slow, gravity-resisting controlled chaturanga. If you can hover at elbow height, great. Inhale to your low cobra or big up dog. And exhale to down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Very, very nice. We're actually going to come to standing at the front of our mat now. Take a deep inhale. Fully exhale, bend the knees, look forward, and walk, step, or hop to the front of your mats. Lifting halfway on the inhale breath, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow deep, Uttanasana. Root into the feet, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana, and stay here. Okay, remember our cat-cow work. Drop the tailbone down, lift the low belly in. Lift the sternum up and open just the upper back. So some people call this Prana Mudra, right? Like cactus arms, open the chest, but don't move the pelvis. Protect your backs. Great. On the inhale breath, reach up high, little Surya Namaskar. Exhale, navel in, bow deep, Uttanasana. Inhaling, half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step or float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Modify as needed. Knees could be down or hover. Inhaling, cobra or up dog, up to you. And exhaling to your downward facing dog. Take a couple deep breaths. Lovely. One more big inhale. Fully empty out, navel in, look forward, walk, step, or hop to the top of your mats. Inhaling, Ardha Uttanasana, chest away from belly, thighs back. Exhale, bow deep, squeeze your breath out. Inhaling all the way up, one more round. So try not to move the pelvis. As you open up that thoracic spine into extension, exhale. Big inhale, lift through the back waist, reach up. Exhale, navel in, bow deep to your Uttanasana. Inhale, lifting halfway, long spine, nice. Plant your hands, step or float back, Chaturanga. Your level, what feels right for you. Inhaling when you're there. And exhaling, Adho Mukha, down dog. Limitless space, breathe into it. Notice any collapsing. So nice. Take another deep breath when you're there. Fully empty out, bend the knees, look forward, and walk, step, or float to the top of your mats. Lift halfway on that inhale, open the chest. Bow deep as you exhale. And all the way up on the inhale breath. Press down, reach up, keep reaching up. Now imagine like you're holding on to ropes on your ceiling as you sit into the heels and bend the knees. So you have all that nice length in the waist. Yeah? Imagine the block between your thighs, hug and lift it, but also lift the chest. Utkatasana, not a fan favorite. Take another breath. You're gonna reach your hips back, hands forward, ribs hover above your thighs. And then like breaststroke your hands back to interlace behind. Press the feet down firmly to lift your hips up, drop your heads, lift your arms. Take that big chest, expanding Uttanasana, nice. Lower your hands to the low back and then down to the ground. Lift halfway, taking it through flow. Exhale, step or float back, Chaturanga. And always modify. You can step right back to dog if that's preferable. Inhale, up dog or cobra, or throw a handstand in on your way back. Exhale to downward facing dog. Great. On the inhale, extend your right leg back. Exhale, step forward to that high crescent lunge. Inhale, rise up to the high lunge. Steady gaze. Exhale, little dip with a side stretch to the right. Inhale, lift up. Back heel down, right foot walks in to that warrior two position. Don't change your feet. Inhale, straighten your legs, reach your arms up. On the exhale, rebend the knee and draw your elbows down. Great. Cross the back arm, the left arm underneath the right. Either grab shoulders or take Garudasana, eagle arms. Great. Now get a little heavier in the hips, but pull the mat together to protect the hip joints. Good. Lift the chest up. Now what's going to happen here is your right knee is going to want to come with you. Don't let it come with you. Lift the chest up. Don't move your pelvis and just start to rotate your upper body to the left. Don't let that front knee come with you. Take the knee away from you. Good. And then one more little option here. Tailbone down, down, down. Sternum up, creating a little bit of a back bend in the thoracic spine. Breathe. So nice. Slowly bring those elbows back to center. Release the arms down. Big breath, reverse warrior. Inhale. Frame the foot, step back, Chaturanga. Take your time. Inhaling cobra or up dog. Exhale to your down dog. No rush at all. Find your way there. With your next inhale breath, left leg lifts. Exhale, stepping through for that high crescent lunge. Big inhale, like you're taking all the energy from the ground up. And then exhale, little dip with a side stretch to the left. Inhaling, lift back up. Back heel down, left foot comes into that warrior two, Virabhi position. Don't change the feet. Pull the ground together, reach up. Exhale, rebend the knee, drop the elbows down. Cross the back arm, the right arm under the left. Grab shoulders or wrap forms. Again, that left knee is going to want to cave inward. Lengthen through that left inner thigh as you rotate your upper body towards the back. Drop the tailbone, it's heavy, even though it's not. Lift the belly, lift the chest, and maybe start to lift the forearms and the gaze without arching the low back. Breathe. Really nice. Excellent. Slowly bring those elbows forward. Release the arms down. Flip the left palm up and reverse your warrior. Take a big breath in. Frame the front foot, step back, chaturanga, elbows in. Inhaling to your cobra or up dog. And exhaling to downward facing dog. So nice. On your next inhale breath, actually just roll up onto your toes and set your knees down. Great. So my inspiration for this week's peak pose was I just got back from Morocco, and you know, you ride camels in Morocco, and I did camel on a camel, and I was like, this is dangerous. This is not safe. And then I realized, you know, camel's not really safe, the pose. So we're going to talk about it for a moment. Grab your block, place it between your thighs. And it's really very few people's favorite pose. And there's many reasons for that, which we can discuss. But first, step by step, right? Vinyasa, take that block between your thighs, hug it and lift it. So this is very similar to our cat-cow work. Lengthen the tailbone towards the backs of the knees. Now, keep the pelvis in place. Don't be thrusting that pelvis forward. That just hurts your low back, right? Keep the pelvis in place and start to lift your low ribs up. Like you're lengthening your waist. We've been doing it for the last 45 minutes. And then coiling that thoracic spine. Up, 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 up. Maybe the gaze follows, so it's full extension, no compression. And you could turn your toes over, your heels will be higher. And you know, you might go back for those heels. You might release the head back. And again, you might not, and that's okay. Even if you're here, tailbone down, block lifting, sternum lifting, chin lifting a bit. That's great, breathe. Okay. Now, one thing people do is they come out one-sided. Come out together. Stay symmetrical. I imagine like a string attached to my chin, and it's pulling me up and forward to come out of the posture. Nice. Okay. We always do camel more than once, but just take your block out. Come onto your hands and knees. Give your hips a little wiggle in any direction that feels good for you. So just hands up for those of you that I actually see. Who likes that pose? Okay, yeah, not a lot of people. So you know when we do that posture, we actually squeeze our adrenals, which kicks in sort of that fight or flight mode, right? So that's why you get a little panicky in the pose. It's like you come into the pose and you're like, get me out of the pose. So sometimes just knowing that makes it a little easier to be in the pose, right? You're not gonna die. One good thing is when you squeeze the adrenals, you actually plump up your lips. So it's like a little lip plumper temporarily. Another reason to do it. All right. If you happen to have two blocks, a nice way to do it is with two blocks next to your outer ankles. Or you could keep that one block between your thighs, or all three if you have three, right? And just one more time. Shins rooting to the ground even if they're not touching. Pelvic floor lifting, low belly lifting. You have that length in the lumbar, pelvis doesn't move. Tailbone lengthening down, you start to coil from the low ribs up. Coiling that thoracic spine, maybe the gaze goes up, maybe the hands go back, and maybe the head releases back. So that you have length in your spine as you're going up, in, and back. Breathe. Okay, in order to come up, root the shins towards the floor, even if they don't touch. Lift the belly and imagine the chin being the guide. Up and out. Well done. There's your safe camel. Okay? All right. Come onto your hands and knees. Do a few cat-cows. You might even walk your hands forward. And then just do some nice big circles of the hips. I really like this one after that pose. And then we're actually going to come into the complete counter pose of Ustrasana, of camel pose. Great. So the counter pose to that is a huge stretch of the posterior vertebra, right? It's called rabbit pose. And I don't teach it very often. So you would start sitting on your heels, and if your knees don't allow for that, that's okay. You can, just try to grab your heels later on. But ultimately, the thumbs are on the outside of the heels, and the other 4 fingers are in like the arch of the foot. And if you want to just watch me first, I'll demo it. So I'm going to drop my chin. So there's a lot of little compressions here in the front body. I'm going to bring my forehead towards my knees. And when I can't really go further, I'll lift my hips up to the ceiling and start to put the top of my head down on the ground. And you see that I'm holding my heels, so I can't do like a forward roll. So the tops of the feet stay down. The very top center of the head is trying to get to the ground. There won't be a lot of weight because you're holding your heels. So you also have your bandhas engaged here, that throat lock, Jalandhara bandha, the low belly's compressing up and in. Good. And it's a huge stretch in that posterior spine. Breathe. It's hard to breathe. Challenging to breathe there. Excellent. You see you guys? Yeah, forehead as close to the knees as you can get them. Lift your butts up. Lift, yeah. So your upper back gets a really big stretch there. Yeah, very good. Nice. I know it's hard to breathe. And we're gonna slowly lower those bottoms back down. Roll ourselves up. Shift your bottoms to one side. And take your feet in front of you for Dandasana. If it helps you to elevate your bottom up on a prop, go ahead and do that. And press your hands down next to your sides. So we're taking a strong Dandasana with the bandhas. Press your thighs down. Try not to let your heels lift though. Draw your attention to your pelvic floor. It's like you're hugging your blocks, right? And lift the pelvic floor. I sometimes say, like when I teach Ashtanga, it's like you're sitting on an egg and you don't want to crack it. Pull the low belly up and into the back body. Lift the chest up, but draw the chin down like you're gazing towards your navel. Shoulders down, hands pressing down. So again, thighs, hands, shoulders down, chin down. Pelvic floor lifting, low belly lifting. Breathe. It's a pretty advanced pose. Nice. Inhale, lift the chin. Bring the hands behind you. Fingertips fairly forward. My wrists don't like to be all the way forward. I go out a bit. Spin the inner thighs down and lift your hips up. Purvottanasana. Good. Similar to Ustrasana in many ways, but really hard. You could bend your knees, take a reverse table if that feels better for you. This is another pose where if it's okay on the neck, you could let that head go back. Only if it feels okay. Strong, strong pose, I know. Again, lead with the chin to come forward and then slowly lower your bottoms down. Visit Dandasana for a moment, that neutral space. And then reversing into Paschimottanasana. Take a big inhale breath. Strap or grab your feet. Take another inhale, lengthen the sternum, the chest away from the front belly. And then just see where you go. Ahimsa in mind. It's nice to find a little edge, but no reason to push beyond. Focus on your breath. Very nice. Couple more breaths here. Okay. With your next inhale, go ahead and look forward, engage the low belly, slowly rise up. Pick up the right knee, plant the foot. Bring the right hand behind you, extend the left arm high. Get really long in the spine, and then place the elbow either in front of or outside the knee. Take a breath, lift the sternum away from the belly. Remember, always lengthen the vertebra. And then revolve into that twist. Every inhale you take, elongate. Exhales to rotate. Take another breath. Turn the gaze forward, slowly unwind that spine, extend the right leg forward, and draw that left heel in. Close to the sitting bone, about fist distance from the thigh, left hand behind, reach that right arm really high. Inhale, and exhale, hook the elbow. Inhale, lengthen again. Maintain the length as you exhale to rotate. Twisting mantra. Every inhale you elongate. Exhale to rotate. Great. Another deep breath. Start to turn the gaze forward and unwind the rest of your spine. Bend your knees, come onto your backs. Bring your knees into that Uttanasana. And remember our previous discussion. Do they need to be together? No. And then take your knees wide apart. Reach for your feet, taking a happy baby pose. If your body is craving something different, absolutely do what feels right for you. You know, maybe you're craving a big back bend, maybe some sort of an inversion here. Wherever you are, stay with the breath and the kindness to yourself. And then start to bring your knees back in and find your resting shape, your resting position. If it requires props, great. Ultimately, you just want it to be non-harming, right? Non-distracting especially. So Shavasana, an effortless shape. Maybe flat on your back, legs drop open, arms drop open, maybe how we began or something different. Yeah? And when you do settle into that resting shape, drop your tongues, relax your jaws, soften your brows. Imagine your front body dropping into the back of your body and your back body sinking in to what it's touching. Quiet your breath, but continue to tune in to that melody within, that wind within your breath. And just be for a moment of rest. So I would invite you to stay in this position in your Shavasana as long as you're able. However, if you are ready to make your way up, start by deepening your breath. And bringing some movement back into your body. Taking a nice inhale, stretching your body in any way that feels good. And again, stay as you are if you'd like. If you're ready, as effortlessly as possible, make your way up to your seat. I love just to offer taking the practice off the mat. So ahimsa, that first yama, is so much more than like protecting your body on your mat, right? It's much bigger than that. It simply means non-harming. So you might think of a way to take this practice off the mat into the day, and it could be like non-harming yourself by critical thinking of yourself, right? Or of something else, negative thoughts. Or, verbal harming, or physical harming, or environmental, just whatever comes to mind, a way that you could practice that ahimsa off the mat. Take a moment, set an intention if you'd like. Honor that intention. And then honor yourself and everyone else for sharing this space